Hello, everybody. This is my first time going live, and a little nervous. Um, and I need to invite some people. For those of you who don't know me, I am Sonia, also known as Sweets, and hopefully you can hear me. But I was challenged by my niece to go live, and you know, this is a very new space for me. I love uploading videos, but going live, this is new. And I just got a thumbs up. So if you have joined my live, please let me know in the chat. I'm going to get some people in the room very quickly. And so so if you are just swinging by, if there is like you just happen to see that I went live, one of the things that I want to invite you into is this idea of doing things that scare you. And I just want to talk about that a little bit today because my niece asked me like, "Auntie, like, what would it be like to just go live?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I was majorly concerned. Hello. Oh, oh, thank you so much. I love it. Um, and so one of the things, so I'm assuming if people can see me, they can see me. So I'm just gonna keep talking. And um, so welcome to any and everyone who is either watching this video beyond the live or if you're on the live now. And just to kind of give you my intention for this space, I have a desire to do hard things. I had a really great year, and I don't know about you. And I do have a couple questions, and we'll just kind of interact in the chat. And uh, let me just invite some people. Come on in. Come on in the room. Um, nice. So my intention for this space is really just to have when I just finished work and in my work life, I typically do like office hours. And office hours is just a time for me to just be available. And that's what this is. And my intention is to be available for like 25, 30 minutes. Because as I said at the beginning, this is a challenge that I've accepted from someone who I really love, who has challenged me to just lean in. And she asked me, "What would it be like for me to go live?" And so this is me answering that challenge. And so I don't know about you, but for me, this year has just been a little bit challenging in a lot of ways. Some of the ways that it's challenging for me, one is feeling insecure. And I don't know about you. I don't know if you experienced this at all, but feeling insecure, that is tough because I'm typically a very confident person. But this year I found myself feeling insecure, feeling like I am not enough, that I'm showing up in spaces and it's like and I'm not fully authentically who I am. And so what I'm hoping as we close out this year is that we get a chance to like lean into hard things and build the muscle of security. Security and like I know exactly who I am. I know exactly how my voice shows up in spaces and I can lean on that. And so welcome. Let's see. I'm going to sorry. Hmm, engage in the chat. So let's just talk about this a little bit. And I think perhaps the topic is fear. Perhaps the topic is around just facing fears. I think that's really important, especially as we go into the new year. One of the things that I experienced this year on my job, I talked about my feelings of insecurity, but we did this thing at the beginning of the year where we set goals. And the idea was to set audacious goals, like to do something that when you think about doing it, it was like a little bit scary, right? And so we did this thing called a goal wall, and we had people put their goals up on the wall. And part of that was like it was really cool. And some people like did like simple things, like really kind of like simple things. And then some people went way out. Like, I want to take my mom on a trip to Alaska for a week, or I don't know. Like, people just did some things that were just, they knew it was kind of beyond them, but it was what they chose to do. And so what we ended up doing was something called goal funding. And so the company decided that some goals would be funded. And as a result of that, there was this what I saw, this shift in behavior. People would go back to the goal wall to try to fix it, like to do something audacious and big, because people got funded to do like marathons, and they got funded to do to take their parent on a trip, on a very expensive trip. And when people saw that the goal was going to be funded, it kind of changed the way that they saw goal setting, and they went back and then they would update it with something like more aggressive. I say that because, in the spirit of facing our fears, what might 2026 look like from a goal setting perspective? And what might be possible if you look at the thing that you are afraid of, the thing that is maybe scary, maybe it feels impossible. Something about it feels like impossible to you. What might it feel or look like for you to just put it on your goal? And you can make your own goal wall. Put it on your goal wall and like begin to do work toward that. The thing that is so important to me about this space and going live is that I have intentions inside of social media. I have things that I really want to accomplish. And sometimes I can get in my head and I can over edit and all that. And there's something about being in this space, doing this conversation without any script, without any, like, just my niece said, Amy, go live. I am here live. And there's something about that that actually supports future things that I'm wanting to get after. And so in the chat, that's a life goal of mine, to help someone achieve a goal from their wall. Ooh, thank you so much, T. And I have a follow-up question, of course, because that's who I am. So, in reference to a life goal of helping somebody achieve a goal from their wall, how will you know that it's a worthy goal on their wall? Like, how will you know that this is the thing that you want to help somebody achieve? That's the question that I have. So, whenever you want to put that in the chat, that would be great. Um, as we continue, and I want to make sure that people who want to be in the room know that I am here. And so I'm going to just send a couple of invites. I believe this is it. Oh no, it is not it. Yeah. So sorry. I'm going to invite a couple of additional people in the room, but there is something that is, I think, important about really being clear about what you need to do so that you know what success looks like. So for me, this going live, for me, what success looks like is the doing of it. It is my niece, when she said, and it still lives in my stomach in a nervous way. Like, I feel nervous about being in this space, even though like it's a small, intimate space. I feel nervous about it still. And I feel nervous about it because I I really want to show up in the best version of myself. And so sometimes that looks like editing, and it looks like all of these other things when, this is just like YOLO. I'm just, you know, I'm just out here. So if you're watching this video back, like you're not at the live, but you're watching it because it's posted, and you're not here live, but you want to participate. One thing that I would love to see in the chat, and you can do it whether you're online or in the chat. One thing I would love to see is like, what is one audacious goal that you want to accomplish in 2026? And audacious is a word. Let's just take a look at audacious. I'm gonna read the definition for you, because I think um, audacious, the definition is showing a willingness to take surprisingly bold risks. So what is it that is present for you that will cause you to show a willingness to take a surprisingly bold risk? And risk is big in this particular definition. Like, what is it? What is available to you? And so, welcome. I see more people joining. How exciting. I have a number in my mind that I would like to get to before the 25-minute mark. And so we'll see how that goes. Totally fine. I have won because I am on a live. Let me just say that out loud. I Winning has already been done. And I have a number in my mind of the number of people that I would love to see in this space. So the conversation that we're having right now is just about goal setting. It's about facing fears. One thing that I've named is that one thing that I have done to face my fears is to actually do a live. And I wanted to do it before the end of the year. Yes, it is December 30th. Yes, it is absolutely right at the doorstep of the next year. And I have won in this space. I've won big, big, big. And so I'd love to just talk a little bit about fear. And I'm not a scientist, nor a doctor, or a psychiatrist, or a psychologist, or anything like that. But just the thought of fear and how fear shows up, not just in our bodies, but in in our mentality, in our way of navigating the world. I think about how much in my lifetime I have wanted to do something, and what prevented me to do it was not an opportunity. Like the opportunity was there, I could have done the thing, but what stopped me from doing it is this wall, and the wall was fear. Ooh, what just came to my mind, like, I did a wall this way, but, I'm reading Brené Brown's, Strong Ground. I'm right at the end. That's one of my goals on my it's not audacious, but one of my goals is to complete 5 physical books. Like, I listen to audiobooks a lot, but I wanted to have 5 physical books that I read, and so I'm reading Strong Ground, and this seems like it's a veer off of the topic, but it's not. One of the things that is really cool is that she has this thing called above and below the line behaviors. And hopefully I will speak to it appropriately. But if you think about the line being fear, if the line is fear, she talks about below the line behavior being like being judgmental, being being I said that I was insecure. Insecurity is a below the line behavior. So I'm behaving from a fearful space, and what people are experiencing of me is through fear. And so those are below the line behaviors. But above the line behaviors that really kind of propel us into like action are curiosity. Like, what might it be like for me to go on live when I'm frightened? What might that look like? What might it be like? Right. And so so that's an above the line, like curiosity, courage, the courage to do something, like to step into, like the definition that I shared earlier about audacity or being audacious. One, like willingness. Willingness is an above the line behavior. I don't think she listed it in her list, but an above the line behavior. It acknowledges that fear is present, but then it does something to move forward. And so this willingness to take surprisingly bold risks, to take the willingness to take a surprisingly bold risk is an above the line behavior. And so that's the invitation today. Like, there might be things that really plagued you this year, from work, from your personal life, from your health. There might be things that you were like, man, if I could have just done better in this thing, I really think I would be set up well for the next year. My invitation to you is, was fear present? Hi, welcome. I see people joining. That makes me excited. But I encourage you to just take a look. And what we're talking about, for those of you who are joining, what we're talking about right now is like facing our fears. And that is on with the context of my niece challenged me to go live. And this going live is me facing my fears. It is me boldly looking at my fear and going, okay, I see you. And I was talking about Brene Brown's Strong Ground book. If fear is a line, it talks about what are the behaviors that are above the line and what are behaviors that are below the line. The ones that are below the line, it is exactly what it seems like. It is like judgment and like being critical of yourself and being insecure, which was an area that I said that was an area that I had a challenge with, being insecure. So like that, those are below the line behaviors, but above the line behaviors are like curiosity. It's like a willingness to take a chance, to take a bold risk. Like those are some of the above the line. And so what we have in the chat and what we started talking about is like what might be a goal that you have that when you think about it, it will take a bold risk for you to do it. Like for you to do the thing, it would cause you to do something. And so that's the conversation. That's what we're talking about. So yeah, so I those are the my thoughts. I think the maybe the last thing that I'll share that I think is important is in your goal setting and in your desire to bring forward the thing that you really, really want to be getting after. Like you really want to get after some things. There's some things that feel really important to you. The first thing to do really is to like actually bring it out of like a thought and maybe put it on paper or grab your laptop. You know, I have a journal that I keep. I put all of my things in my journal, but bring it out of your thoughts and into like one place of reality is putting it in writing. Another place that is a reality is tell it to somebody. We had a Bible study on last Saturday. We do Bible studies on Saturdays, and it was this topic. We were the week before we were talking about reflections of 2025, and then this past week we talked about like, okay, what are some really big audacious things that we can get after or a goal that we can set for 2026? So that's what we talked about, and so one of the things to really get present to for you and for me is like, what are the goals? What are the things that we really want to get after? That's a little bit scary, you know? And that can mean so many things. For me, getting on this live, it was bigger than going live. So I was gonna go live yesterday and I was afraid. I was really afraid and I felt unprepared. Today, I worked all day and as soon as I finished my work, my 9 to 5, if you will, I ended up just going live. I just decided preparation in this moment was more of a trap than it was help. It was more of a me not being willing to face my fears. And I would not like to do that. I'd actually like to lean forward and do the thing that scares me. And so that's why I'm here. Um, there's this thing that we do called rosebud and thorn. And what I love about it is that it gives us an opportunity to really just set up like a good reflection. And so if you have your journal or if you wanted to do this, this is a really good activity that I think, close out on. So the first is roles. What was the roles of your 2025? So a rose is something that is in full bloom. You were fully expressed in it. It's the things that you're proud of from this year. You look at it and you're like, man, this was good. I'm proud of myself for these things. So that's the rose or the roses. Maybe you have a dozen roses. Live like out loud in your just honoring the things that you were able to do. So that's the rose. Um, the thorns are the things that really did not work well this year. When you look at it, you're like, I cannot take this into 2026. If I take this into 2026, it's going to be harmful to me. And so that's the thorn. So the rose is the thing that you're really excited about from 2025 and you want to keep doing more of that. You want to continue to do those things because it worked for you. Like for me, I will say a rose for me is that I crushed my goals this year. And I think it's because of the way I set up this year. I set it up with an intention. And remember, I said, like, take it out of your head and put it somewhere or tell someone. I have it like on my phone. My goals are on my phone. And each of these photos are indicative of a goal that I have. And so one of my goals was to restore healthy habits, to achieve my health goals by the end of 2025. I've lost 25 pounds this year because I've restored healthy habits, which I love. Thank you. Thank you, sunshine. Welcome. So that's one thing. That's one of my goals that's on here. And I was able to see it. And I was reminded of it every time I pick up my phone, which is like always, I see my goals. My second goal is I will attend a yoga retreat in Tulum in 2025. I did that. I attended, sorry, I got dark. My screen went away, but um, I attended a retreat in Tulum. I made the investment this year because it was something that I wanted to do. I don't necessarily ever have to go back to Tulum again, but that's just that's me. You all might love Tulum. Totally fine. Hi, Lady Pie Popo. Hi. Welcome. My third goal that I have here, which is the biggest rose. If I have a like 5 roses that are in a bundle, the biggest of the roses, my number 3 said, I will publish a book by the end of 2025. And I published my first book. And it is behind me. It's right over here. Oh, there it is. That is my book. And it's called Sweets Inspirations. My name is Sweets, and it's called Sweets Inspirations. And I published that book. That is a rose for me. That is a huge, huge rose for me. The fourth is I will read 5 physical books by the end of 2025. I am on the fourth book. I'm at the end of the fourth book, and the fifth book is a very easy read. And so I will have this done before tomorrow night. Like I will. And the fifth one is I will prioritize the relationships that bring me joy. And you'll just see, like, there's even on my screen, the relationships that bring me joy. Like T is on this call right now. It's a relationship that brings me joy. I also took a little trip through my pictures for the year, and I recommend you do the same. I looked through my pictures. I spent time with family. My dad turned 84 this year. I traveled to go and see him to Texas, and my siblings were together celebrating my dad. It was a big deal. I was able to celebrate like Easter in Texas, and I was able to celebrate just different events that have come up. I've been able to prioritize the people who mean something to me. Those are roses, and I absolutely celebrate that. The thorns are the things that you actually don't want more of. We know thorns are probably they're necessary on a rose, but you can avoid thorns. And so for me, a big thorn for me that was a big challenge was insecurity. And that is a thorn that I am not willing to take into 2026. It is not worth it. And so thorns, insecurity. I think that there was some like indecisiveness a little bit. I was significantly challenged, and as a result, those are things. And I'll do some more reflecting. That's one of the things I do on New Year's Eve. I'll do some more reflecting, and I'll get very clear about what are the additional thorns. But for you, what are the thorns? The things that you really like. It was painful to you, but you're in choice, and you don't have to do those things. You can actually not do those things. And so that is the thorn. And then the last one is bud. And so if you think about a bushel of roses or a dozen of roses, um, sometimes you'll see some that are in full bloom, and sometimes you'll see some that are kind of closed. They haven't opened yet and they need time. These are the things that you want to focus on for 2026. So really think about like what are the things that are roses for you? What are the things that are thorns for you? And both of those are from 2025. And then what is budding for 2026? What is the thing that like lights you up? And remember, the way I started this conversation was about like audacity or being audacious. And being audacious is showing a willingness to take surprisingly bold risks. What are you willing to take a surprisingly bold risk about that is budding in your life for 2026? Like, it's an invitation. You can take a moment. I'm gonna read some of the chat because I see you all. So, Sunshine says, "My thorn is discontentment and worry." And she says, "I need to think about what's budding in my spirit," which I love that context. I love the pivot to that from a spiritual context, like what is budding. And then I love in all caps, my love for Jesus, like 4 exclamation points, right? That is budding. And what I think is the invitation or maybe a challenge for you. So Sunshine is who challenged me to go live. So now I challenge you to think about what would be a surprisingly bold risk that you would take that would kind of allow the bud of your love for Jesus to continue to grow. What is God? What is the spirit? What's calling or tugging at you that would really, really help you know that this thing that is budding, that you're doing something inside of that process. And so that would be the challenge. Is it street ministry? Is it casa? Is it, oh, I don't know. There are many things that it could be, but what would it look like for you to take a surprisingly bold risk inside of this thing that is budding in you? For me, I have something that I will not name because of just contextually, it's just not a really good idea for me to name on a live. It's not a good idea. However, there are actions that I have that make me, I'll name it this way, like this live that I'm doing right now. This live right now is a seed into my 2026 intentions. Just being available, being unscripted, just being in the space where I can just say the things that are on my heart and then invite other people to come in and share the things that are on their hearts. And this is the seed that is going into whatever blossoms in 2026. And I'm excited about that. For those of you who are joining, I really, really am very thankful that you're here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for dropping in. If you don't know me, I'm Sonia, also known as Sweets. And the challenge, I've made my 25-minute challenge. I was going to be on here for 25 minutes and boom, boom. It started off, hi, Miss Brenda. Hi. This challenge came from Sunshine, my beautiful niece, and she challenged me to go live. It makes me a little emotional. Oh my gosh. So what it felt like was fear, pure fear at the like depths of it. I was scared to do it. And I was like, what if nobody shows up? And she was like, are you serious? You're a big deal. I will also say there was a number in my head that I wanted to get to. And I have surpassed the number that was in my head that made me feel like this was a worthy thing to do. And so thank you all for coming. The thing that I invite you to do is to consider what was the rose of your 2025? What were the thorns of your 2025? And what's budding for 2026? And one thing that we talked about, and by we talked about it through the chat, but one thing we talked about is audacity or being audacious or bold. And audacious, the definition is showing a willingness to take surprisingly bold risks. And so, what are you willing and ready to take a surprisingly bold risk for? And so I am grateful from the bottom of my heart. I'm grateful for all of you who have joined. Makes my heart happy. If you'd like to put anything in the chat before I close out, please feel free to. If you want to put something that you would like accountability on, please feel free to. And if not, then we will. Oh, I love the chair challenge. My challenge to you, Tasia Sunshine, was accepted. Good job. So in closing, my heart is full. I'm very grateful. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being a part of this process. My channel is called A Sweet Journey for a reason because this is my journey. And my journey sometimes looks scary. And today it looked very scary. Going live was scary to me. And thank you. Thank you, Sunshine. Um, but you're a part of my journey. You joined and you just kind of hung out with me, and I appreciate it so much. And so, with that, we can do hard things. We really can. With that, thank you all so much. Sissy! Hi, Sissy! Thank you. You're an inspiration to me, too. I appreciate you so much. Thank you all for taking 30 minutes of your day and hanging out with me. I appreciate it a lot. And with that, that's it. That is my live. Have a good evening. Bye.